Mark 1:35 says this. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. It's an interesting verse. And Mark was friends with Peter, who was actually probably where Jesus was staying when this was written, was at Peter's house. He stayed there a lot in his ministry. In the biographies we see of him, this pattern starts to come to the surface. We see it over and over again that Jesus spent a lot of time talking to God. He prayed. And as you're watching our Deep Dive in 5 at Christ Church of Flagstaff, right at the beginning of 40 days of powerful worship experiences, this is broadcasting for the first time, debuting on Wednesday. And every Wednesday during these several weeks, these 40 days, we're going to talk about prayer. And prayer is something, probably of all the things we're talking about in this season of worship experiences, is probably the one that's the most familiar. But I would say it's the area where you and I know for me, have the most growth potential. I know what prayer is. I pray all the time. I talk to God, right? Prayer is just talking to God. And we can grow in that. Jesus, he prayed. He shows that pattern. And it's so important for us to learn all of that we can with prayer and not just settle for talking to God. I know for me, for many years, for decades, my prayer life has been just telling God some things that are bothering me, some things I need. I prayed once. I hate to admit this. I prayed once that I'd win the Powerball. I bought one Powerball ticket like 6 years ago, and it was worth, like, I don't know, one of the top prizes ever. And I thought, God, if you let me win the Powerball, I'll give you almost all of this money, like a really high percentage, God. Like, I just need a little bit of it. Would you let me win? I didn't win. What do you pray for? What is your prayer like when you talk to God? What does it consist of? Here at Christ Church, we use a tool and experience we've been using for many years. It's called Rooted, and it's got some incredible learnings. And one of my favorite things that we learn through that curriculum and through that experience together is about prayer. And I wrote down one of the quotes from Rooted. Listen to this: "When you pray in earnest, you come face to face with the God of the universe." I'm just not asking to win Powerball. I'm not just talking about my concern or my, this person who's ill or this problem or this stressful thing. I get to talk face to face. The creator of the universe. This is a God who shows you grace, the God who adopts you, the God who guides and strengthens you. When you and I pray, we were reminded and rooted, you step into God's kingdom, his world, the place where God rules without pushback. Friends, that's what prayer is. You and I stepping into God's world, going into his kingdom for just a moment at a time or a few minutes at a time and saying, God, I want to be here. See, prayer has the potential to be so much more in our lives than simply talking to God or asking him for things we need. That's legitimate. We should do that. We should talk to him. But what if prayer is more than that? See, it's so much potential, and we limit ourselves sometimes in our experience with prayer. We can experience some more. And so each week of this 40-day journey, I want to push the envelope a little bit with you and I in prayer and your experiences regarding prayer. And so we're going to do practices. You find these devotions that we're using and these actions that I want to just briefly refer to. You find them printed in written form, ccf.church/2021. You can share this with your friends, with somebody who, just maybe needs to hear from God, not just talk to him. We can all talk to him. We can all hear from him. And have you ever noticed that God seems to speak to some people more than others? Yeah, think about it. Like, we all have that experience, right? Like, you hear someone talk about God speaking to them and you go, well, God never speaks to me. What does he say? Friends, as we grow in prayer, what I hope you'll experience is what I experienced. I think God speaks to all of us. It's just that some of us, we're better at hearing it. We're better at listening. We've intentionally put ourselves on a path or in places or in situations where I can even hear God speaking. That's what this deep dive in 5, this 40 days of powerful worship experience is all about. It's growing in prayer, growing in listening. So I want you to go get this devotion, to go through these things, and in your heart, start to ask God, God, help me to grow in prayer over these next few weeks. Let me commit to this journey of spiritual experiences to powerfully connect with you and to begin to journal. I want you to take a couple of minutes today. It says here in our Devo that you can get 3 or 4 minutes writing a prayer to God about something that is on your mind, something that's troubling you, that's concerning, that's a need, and then spend 3 or 4 minutes. And for me to do that, I set a timer on my watch or on my phone so that I can really, because like 20 seconds feels like 5 minutes sometimes, but spend 3 or 4 solid minutes just listening. Put on the do not disturb, turn off the music, get away from the kids, just a couple minutes. They'll be okay. Take a deep breath. God, is there anything you want to say to me? And just listen. And what he says, just write it down. And maybe you'll write down, I didn't hear anything. That's okay. We're taking a journey together. We're going to do these experiences. We're going to grow. And I'm so glad you're here. I hope you'll keep joining us and you'll share this with other people and let them know. They can listen. They can sit face to face, talking and listening, interacting, hearing that small voice of God, the creator of the universe. It's for all of us, not just a few of us. I hope you'll join in and do these things. God will do amazing things.